Hey guys, and welcome to Storytime with Chester. Tonight I'll be continuing the saga from my novel, The Book of Prophecies. I'll be picking up where we left off last time in chapter 33. Andor opened the door to the small chamber. The priest of the Order of the Green Robes rose from behind a desk that contained but a candle and a large tome. "Abbot, welcome. I am Bishop Laurent. I hope your journey here was well." "Yes," Andor replied. "It was quite refreshing." "That is good," the bishop said. "I fear you will need all your strength for the task you have set forth to attempt." Looking Andor up and down, he continued, "Indeed, if the arch-cleric himself hadn't authorized your access, you would not be here now. No one but those of the Order of the Green Robes has ever been permitted access to the tome." "Why is that?" Andor questioned, rather put off by the bishop's tone of superiority. Sensing this, the bishop quickly consoled. "Oh, it wasn't so in the beginning, but over time, and many failed attempts at reading it, it was apparent that St. Columba intended it for our order alone." Seeing that he hadn't repaired the misunderstanding, the bishop continued, "Attempting to read the tome is a very hazardous undertaking. It is sentient, and establishes a telepathic link to the mind of the reader, such that only those of the Order of the Green Robes are able to even peruse any of its contents before succumbing to it." "You speak as if it wipes the mind of everyone who has ever read it," Andor said. "It does," the bishop replied matter-of-factly. "Yet here you stand, faculties intact," Andor stated. "Oh, I have never attempted to read it," the bishop clarified. "I am just one of its guardians. I have never had the desire, nor the need, to lose my wits. Read it if you must, but a word of caution. Read all you can in one sitting, if you are able, for any who have succeeded in such an endeavor have but all failed in a second attempt. I will be right here when—" The bishop paused and then continued, "should you succumb to its power." Gesturing to the desk, he said, "The tome awaits." Andor walked around the desk and sat in the chair. "What will become of me should I—" Andor paused mid-sentence. "We will do our best to restore your mind," the bishop assured. Not very convincingly, however. Taking a deep breath, Andor exhaled slowly and looked upon the tome. The Book of Prophecies was a beautiful work of art. Each page, it was rumored by those fortunate enough to view it, was fashioned from the dust of an emerald of great value. The words on the bronzewood cover Andor didn't recognize as being in any language he had ever seen. He was about to reach to open the book when he felt his mind being probed by some powerful force. How he knew this he did not know, for he had never felt such a thing when any member of the Order of the Green Robes had scanned his mind. Yet now there was a presence inside his head that was unmistakably not his own. Suddenly the indecipherable words on the cover started shifting as if they were alive, moving about until the words he could read were formed. Prophetic Scriptures of St. Columba. The tome then opened of its own accord to the first page, and the likewise indecipherable script formed words he could read, one line at a time. Chapter 34. Andor closed the Book of Prophecies and looked up at the wide-eyed bishop. Never before had he witnessed such a feat. His mind was flooded with questions he wanted to ask Andor, but knew his duty. Instead, he said simply, "Come with me." He led Andor down the corridor and up 2 flights of stairs, stopping in a door with a hard bench just outside. "Wait here," he said, motioning to the bench. He then turned and left the way he came, pausing momentarily to look back at Andor while mumbling something to himself. After a long, uncomfortable wait on the bench, Bishop Laurent returned with 10 other green-robed priests in tow. He instructed Andor to follow him and opened the door. The other priests filed into the chamber until only Andor and Laurent remained outside. Holding the door open, Laurent said, "After you." Andor entered the chamber where the 10 bishops had already taken seats in a circle. One chair in the circle was empty, as was one in the center. Bishop Laurent instructed Andor to sit in the latter, while he himself took his place among the other 10. Before any of the bishops had the chance to speak, Andor did. "I'm sorry, but did I do something wrong?" "On the contrary," one of the bishops replied. You... "What my tongue-tied colleague means to say," one of the other bishops interrupted, "is that you have achieved what none before you has." "And that is what exactly?" Andor asked. "The whole book," the first bishop stammered. "You read the whole book." "Not only that," the second bishop added, "but here you sit before us, your wits intact." "Are you saying," Andor tried to clarify, but was answered before finishing. "Yes," Bishop Laurent said, "you are the first to have ever read the entire book. Oh, there have been a scant few that have succeeded in reading portions of the book, but either succumbed to its powers before going any further, or stopping with only a bit of the prophecy." "I don't understand," Andor tried to reason what he was hearing. "Are you telling me no one knows the contents of the book of Prophecies?" "Not fully, no," Bishop Laurent said. "Until you," said the second bishop. "That is why I called the council of bishops," Laurent said. "We must know what you read." Looking around the room, Andor asked, "Why is there not a scribe here to document what I say?" He knew that they but needed to use their power over the mind to glean what he knew, but unless there was a scribe to write it all down... "We've tried transcribing what bits of the prophecy have been successfully read in the past," said the first bishop, now in control of his emotions and thoughts, "but to no avail." Seeing the confusion and looming question in Andor's eyes, the second bishop said, "When a scribe attempted to transcribe a reader's words, he somehow, without knowledge of what he was writing, wrote in the language of the book, which not even the wisest of sages has knowledge of." "There's one other thing," a third bishop said. "We wonder what your role is in the book." "What do you mean?" Andor asked. "Well, most who have read the book have succumbed to its powers. While they were bereft of their minds, they had visions." "Visions?" Andor asked for clarification. "Yes," the third bishop replied. "It seems that St. Columba writes the book of Prophecies through dreams or visions he sends those who attempt to read it. Pages are added with each vision." "But if it can't be transcribed, how are the visions written in the book?" Andor asked. "The book itself writes the prophecies," Bishop Laurent said. "So what we are here to find out," said the second bishop, "is twofold. One, how is it you, a mere brown robe, was successful in reading the book where no green robe has? And two, what is your purpose here? Obviously it is not to add to the prophecy. Does that mean that the prophecy is complete? We have many questions. Will you agree to let us probe your mind? You have my word we will not intrude on your thoughts or memories that have no relevance. After careful thought, Andor agreed, and the interrogation began. Andor's Journal. Free Day 41, 1229. I have made copies of several works from the libraries I visited in Osnaburg and Avignon. From the extensive research I have done, and the knowledge I've received, I plan on writing a few books over the course of the coming winter. I also researched arms and armor, hoping to develop some new magical items to aid myself in the fight against evil. Sunday 13, 1230. King Friedrich has sent word to me that he wants me to take a group to the Vressels. The Lord of the High Elves has told the king of a place somewhere in the Vressels that has an evil relic of the Reaper that needs to be found and destroyed. I will take Drexel and Chatham, leaving Taniel here to watch over things while we are gone. Marakai and his 15 wardens and Miranda will join us in this quest. I have already sent for them. We leave in 3 days. The king has requested that we stop in Turnil on the way. We are to arrive at his palace no later than the eve of Free Day 13. Star Day 14, 1230. Prince Thomas reveals himself to all the land, for which a huge week-long festival is to be had. The announcement of his marriage to Lady Jolise and the birth of their son were also made known at this time. In a grand ceremony, the kingdoms of Folkreach and Vanask unite as one, becoming the Kingdom of Folkreach-Vanask. Star Day 15, 1230. King Friedrich declares war on Ikra. We leave immediately for the Vressels. Section 3 of Part 2. To heal a forest. The king of the north shall return, and set forth a multitude greater than the former. He shall set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom. A prince for his own behalf shall make leagues and raise armies and move with such swiftness that the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither shall there be any strength to withstand. But he shall not prevail, nay, he shall be turned away, for out of the west shall come a small people who shall forecast devices against him. Of his army many shall fall down slain. Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall be caught up and not be found. And after a time he shall be destroyed, and the land shall be plunged into darkness. Andor's Journal, Earth Day 15, 1230. We have reached the Vressels and are at the edge of the defiled glades. This is a wretched place. Once the home and sanctuary of a group of druids, its beauty was unrivaled. During the wars, a battle took place here. So devastating was the magic that it altered the land. Now unwholesome things exist and thrive here, a mockery of the nature god. Free Day 15, 1230. We ran into our old comrade Balian today. He was with a contingent of elven rangers. He said they had been tracking a group of priests of the Reaper and had followed them as far as here, at the eastern edge of the defiled glades. He spoke of an evil relic, one baneful to elves. Named the Skull Staff of Death, it is said to have been a gift by the Reaper to a demon commander. Legend tells that a thief stole it from the demon in the kingdom of the dead. Somehow it became separated, the metal shaft ending up in the possession of a priest of the Reaper. It is said that a high priest of Ikra had found the top piece, a rust-colored skull, during the wars and was slain somewhere in the defiled glades. 2 emeralds, the eyes of the skull, are the final piece to assemble the skull staff. No one knows the location of these, but it is said that they are worth a king's ransom, and when fully assembled, have the power of disintegration of anything they behold. I believe it is this relic that we have been sent to find. We will search the defiled glades for it and the priests of the Reaper. Moon Day 16, 1230. We found the priests of the Reaper today. They had found the skull and were joining it with the staff when we came upon them. After a fierce battle, we managed to kill 7 of the 10 of them. 3 escaped, including their leader. We failed in obtaining the skull staff, but the high priest did leave with a remembrance of our battle, one of Marikai's daggers in his back. In the battle, we lost several of the elven rangers. If not for the power of St. Columba, more would have fallen today. Water Day 16, 1230. We have managed to escape the hazards of the defiled glades. Yesterday, Miranda found this strange-looking orb. It was somewhat submerged in the marsh. It gave off a faint magical aura. Not knowing if it is evil in nature, we will keep it under wraps for now. Star Day 17, 1230. We've been running for our lives. 2 days ago, we encountered a huge force of orcs. They were under the banner of Ikra and were being commanded by several of his priests. I think I even saw a demon among them. I thought all demons had been banished from the land months ago. The force seems to be heading through the forest south towards Folkreach. Valian left us yesterday to warn his people. We are but a half-day's journey to the edge of the forest in Folkreach. Sunday 17, 1230. We make it to Banya. We are told that Ikra has launched an attack. He has struck at several castles along the King's Road, including here and Blackrock, where Eric commands. Ikra appears to be preparing to launch an assault on Tornal. His forces are said to number over 6,000 orcs, 1,000 goblinoids, and undead. Moon Day 17, 1230. St. Columba be with us. The original attack was mainly an illusion. Ikra has swarmed through the Vressels and has started marching towards Tornal. The attack here was repelled, Marikai assuming command when the castle's commander fell. As the attack force was fleeing, I saw one of Ikra's priests summon a horde of demons. Hundreds of those foul creatures seemed to walk out of thin air and started marching towards Turnal. It's as if a gate to the abyss was opened, and out they came. Their numbers must be close to 1,000. St. Columbus, help us. We set off to follow. What are we to do against so many demons? Are the gods cursing us? Behind us, hundreds, nay, thousands of skeletons are being raised from the dead. We are trapped between undead and demon, with no place to turn. May St. Columbus save us from our fate. St. Columba, protect your servant and his comrades, and grant us the power to defeat this evil horde your enemy has put before your servant. Let your enemy not prevail this day. May my cudgel strike swiftly with your power, and may your healing power flow through my body to aid those fighting on your servant's side. Water Day 17, 12:30. Praise be to St. Columba. We have victory. Miranda used the orb that she found in the defiled glades to summon a host of great worms to our side. They decimated the legions of demons and turned the tide of the battle. For 3 days they protected our soldiers as they fought off the hordes of orcs and skeletons. I've never seen such a sight. Dragons of all colors, good and evil, being commanded by Miranda. Turnal is saved, as are we all. From this day on, God's Day 17 will be known as the Day of the Dragon. Moon Day 18, 12:30. Marikai was knighted and made knight commander of Banya. Star Day 23, 12:30. I finished making 7 summoning beads. I gave them to each of the protectors and one to myself. Moon Day 24, 12:30. I have received word that the king requests that we come to Turnal at once. I sent word to all of the protectors. I leave at first light tomorrow. God's Day 24, 12:30. We assemble outside the citadel. Once inside, we are escorted to the king's chambers. There we have an audience with not only the king, but with Prince Thomas and Merriwick, the Grand Wizard. We are told of a disease that has befallen the inhabitants of the Vresels. All of the efforts of the forest's healers have come to naught. Rumors tell of an instrument of healing that surpasses all others. It is said to lie somewhere within the Vresels. The king wants us to go there at once and find this item, and use it to heal the good folk of the forest. Merriwick will teleport us there, where we are to link up with a group of rangers, led by our old friend Valian. They will lead us to our destination. Chapter 35. Chapter 35. As the chambers of King Friedrich disappeared, the sights and sounds of the forest took its place. The protectors found themselves standing not only in the midst of tall trees, but also surrounded by some 200 Nagabs. Nagabs were fierce warriors. They had the physique of an ape, with the pointed ears and sunken eyes of the goblin. They had just finished a quick meal and were about to break camp when the sudden appearance of the party took them by surprise. For nearly half a minute, the two groups just stared at each other. Then, before either could react, a hail of arrows entered the camp, their target appearing to be the Nagabs. Chaos broke out in the camp at that point, as the Nagabs knew not what to do first, attack the intruders or defend against the rain of death. When around twice their number of woodsmen showed themselves, their answer was apparent: flee! What didn't lie dead on the forest floor now took to the part of the forest they claimed as home. As the dust of the fleeing Nagabs settled, the woodsmen that drove them away suddenly vanished. Out from the trees stepped several men that, by their garb, appeared to be rangers. They all had their bows drawn and arrows notched. One of them, an elf with an antler tattoo on his face, lowered his bow and approached the group. "Valian!" exclaimed Miranda. "Ah, friend," Andor said, relieved. "Your arrival was quite timely. We were not prepared for that welcoming party." "Yes," Valian agreed. "Neither was we expecting to see them here at this time. I did not know the group we were to meet would be yours." Valian gave a signal to the rangers, and they blended back into the forest, leaving Valian and the protectors alone in the clearing. "Our destination lies but half a day's journey from here to the south," Valian said. "Be on your guard, for we are in forest controlled by Ikra's forces. Come now." It was indeed a forest controlled by Ikra. The trees bore the scars of being burned with acid and fire everywhere one looked. The carcasses of forest creatures littered the ground, victims to the wanton destruction of their homes and habitat. Here and there a squirrel or rabbit could be seen scurrying about, unsure of their fate. And if one listened closely, a songbird's voice could be heard on the wind. After several hours they reached a clearing. In the midst of it stood two enormous statues of a gargoyle perched atop a pedestal. The pedestals themselves were as big as castle towers, standing some 40 feet high and flared at the bottom to a width of 50 feet on a side, with intricate carvings all over. The gargoyles towered another 40 feet above the pedestals. There was a litter of bones around the statues in all directions. Where the clearing itself was free from vegetation, thick shrubs and vines had grown around and up the pedestals. "This is your destination, friends," Valiant said. "This once was the dwelling of a powerful lich, but he hasn't been seen or heard of in nearly a century. It was said that among his many magical items were a cup and talisman capable of healing anything. Some say they were created by the god of light himself." "How do we get inside?" questioned Jovan. "I see no doors or windows." "That is but one of your challenges," Valiant replied. "It is rumored that the gargoyles come to life when anyone comes near them." "What do we do when we find the cup and talisman?" Andor asked. "I and my rangers will be at the edge of the clearing awaiting your return. We will escort you back to our camp where all the sick have been taken." Valiant started to the forest, then paused and said, "Yalmora be with you." With that, Valiant disappeared into the woods, leaving the protectors alone with the two towers. "Well," said Hawkeye, starting towards the towers, "what are we waiting for? Let's kick this lich's ass and take his shit." "Wait!" Eric warned. Hawkeye stopped and turned towards his companions. "This is not a castle we are storming," Eric continued. "This is home to a lich." "Do my ears hear right?" Hawkeye began to jest. "Eric the Brave? Or is that the Good? Shying away from the chance to best a beast before the rest of us? Still stinging from the Spider Queen's venom, are you?" he added with a sly grin on his lips. Eric took a step towards the archer, his hand moving to his sword, when a gentle touch from soft fingers gave him pause and eased the anger that had started to swell within him. "Eric is right," Miranda said, trying to ease the tension between the two, and also adding to Eric's warning. "You were not with us when we faced the lich in the Cursed Desert." "They are both correct in their apprehension of this place," Andor added. "His lair was trapped with all sorts of pitfalls for the careless. It took all of us to defeat not only the lich, but his lair as well. We must use extreme caution. Question everything, even at times your own senses. Think before you touch anything, for it could be the last thing you ever lay your hands on." "What was it Valiant said about these towers?" Jovan said, almost as if on cue, for a large stone fist came crashing down towards Hawkeye's head. It would have hammered the archer into the ground like a spike had it not been for the reaction of Eric. The Golden Avenger had seen the movement of the stone gargoyle a moment before it attacked Hawkeye, and had charged towards him, leaving his feet at the last second as he threw his body into the unsuspecting archer, knocking him both out of the way and to the ground. Still not aware of the danger, Hawkeye quickly jumped to his feet and notched an arrow, aiming it at Eric. "Hawkeye, duck!" Miranda shouted. Shadowcat's warning came too late as a huge stone claw swatted Hawkeye like a gnat, sending the green arrow flying across the clearing where his body hit a pedestal and crumpled to the ground. Just before he blacked out, Jovan's unspoken recollection entered his thoughts. The statues are alive. And that, my friends, is where we will finish tonight's reading. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed reading it to you. And I do urge you to hit the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I upload these videos. And do subscribe to my channel by hitting that button right there. And make sure you like and share with all your friends. Because the more you share, the more can watch. And until next time, and as always, see you soon.